Welcome back to Coach Twigg's YouTube channel. Coming to you live from Coach Twigg's cage bomb hitting facility, the place where the magic happens. We're gonna do a second part to my last video. My last video talked about keeping your hands inside the baseball and how to do that correctly. It also uncovered what it means when we cast our hands instead of keeping our hands inside and close to our shirt. The next thing that we're going to talk about, though, is we're going to talk about two types of hitting. One of them incorrect, one of them correct. The incorrect form of hitting that we're going to talk about is called rotational hitting. And then the second one that we go over, the correct way to do things, is called the linear form of hitting. And what does it mean when we say rotational? What does it mean when we say linear? What's the difference? And why is one better than the other? So let's talk about the incorrect form of hitting first, rotational. Anybody that understands the English vocabulary understands that rotate means to spin. Think about when you were a kid and you played with a top and you spun it. That's rotational. Now, linear is the way that we want to hit, linear hitting, and that is front to back. Some of you think like those old grandfather clocks, they had a pendulum in them, and that pendulum swung just like this. And that's linear hitting. So let's first talk about rotational and why that doesn't really work for you. We talk all the time on this channel about power position, getting your bat on plane, and being palm up and palm down at contact. That is our power position. In order to do that, we've got to be linear. If not, this is what starts to happen. So remember, my knob is supposed to go towards the camera. The reason we get linear, or this way, is because the player will take the knob and they will throw it in this direction and spin me around in a circle, hence rotational hitting. What does rotational hitting lead to? Well, it should be pretty obvious, but let's look at it. It leads to a barrel that gets out too far from the ball in order to square it up in our power position. We tend to, if we're rotational, your player probably hits a ton of balls off the cap or off the end of the bat, and when it's cold, they're sitting there going, oh, my hands are stinging, my hands are stinging. Another thing that can lead to rotational is when a player steps out. If I am hitting, and I know you can't see my feet right now, but you're going to be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. When I get rotational and it starts from my foot, here's what happens. I step away from the pitcher, my whole body pulls out, and I end up here again. And this is an even worse position than the one I showed you the first time. The first time, you at least give yourselves a chance. That's a slight rotation, but that second one, you got no shot. It doesn't really matter what pitch I throw you, you're gonna get yourself out. Now, let's get rotational out of our head. Let's get linear right up here where it belongs. I already told you that a grandfather clock had a pendulum that swung like this, those grandfather clocks. Okay, that is linear. It's a straight line. There's no top spinning, there's no rotation. So linear would mean what? Well, instead of taking the knob and going towards left field and third base, it's going to begin by me taking the knob and violently throwing it in the direction of the camera. So we load coming back a little bit, and then we get linear. We go back to forward. Okay, so let me show you that again. Linear is back and forth, front to back. So my load gets us to the back. My knob being thrown violently gets us to the front, and it gets us right here. That's linear hitting. Now, understand that if you are linear, that's a great thing. But if you are linear and you still step out, you're still going to run into the same problem. You're not going to run into it as much because your top half works correctly, but it's your bottom half that we got to fix. So I hope that uncovers the difference between rotational hitting and linear hitting, and why linear hitting is what we should be striving for. Man, I know that was a short clip, but I really enjoyed that one. I think the reason I like that one the most, or one of my favorites, is that so many kids I work with are rotational hitters. They're not linear hitters. And they wonder why there's no consistency. So we got to explain to them, and we have to teach them that kids or players, listen, I'm telling you that linear is the way to go, and you're refusing to work on front to back or back to front, and you continue to spin. So until that child learns properly through the fundamentals that you teach, they're never going to change from being rotational. It is definitely a different movement, and it's definitely something that has to get into your muscle memory. So it has to be done over and over and over. Direct them with the knob and their front foot, always going towards the pitcher, and that'll get you off on the right foot. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click like and also subscribe, as we're coming out with more and more information and more videos that I hope can make you a better coach, and in turn make your players better players. Thanks for tuning in to Coach Twigg's Cage Bomb Hitting Facility. I can't wait to do it again with you viewers. See you next time.